Hello, welcome again to the Backfield Buzz podcast, a part of the Hive Podcast Network. Cody Wiles, Logan Glover, Andrew Foster, and Nicholas Frias joining us today. Fellas, it's been a while, but we are here, and today it's something very fun, something we all give a lot of care and thought into. It's mock draft season, baby. The Super Bowl is done. The combine is now done. So there's lots of data to get into. Before we get into it, though, I just want to go around the horn real quick. How's everybody doing? Glover, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm still reeling. We were just in trade deadlines over the NHL, and a lot of stuff was going down over there. So it's in like recovery mode after all those buzzer beater deadline deals for anyone who follows the NHL trade deadline. But been a pretty chaotic day. So I'm ready to get into some NFL mock drafts. Totally switch gears.
Yeah, lots going on, especially for your Colorado Avalanche, eh, Frosty?
Bro, I don't know who's on our team anymore, man. Literally half our team is new people now. It's ridiculous. They look good though.
Uh,
I like what they did, but my God, they're not gonna have a player under 25 years old for the next 5 years.
and then Nick rocking the cowboy hat. Maybe wished your Edmonton Oilers made a bit more moves or got a goalie. What's going on over there?
Yeah, I wish they added another forward. Kind of hoping we were going to be the ones that landed Brad Marchand. But still happy with Wallman, Trent Frederick. It was an all right deadline. I think Wallman will grow on me as the season goes, but it's all right. But would have loved at least another top six forward.
All right, well, that's enough NHL trade deadline talk because today we're doing an NFL mock draft. We determined the order pre pre-hand beforehand.
Yeah.
And I got the first overall pick. So, with the Tennessee Titans on the clock, there's been lots of, I don't think, has there been any concrete like rumor of what's going to happen here? I don't think
Nope.
we know what's really going to happen. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm spreading rumors, but Abdul Carter is going to be the pick for me.
Oh wow.
Uh, oh, shocking.
Yep.
You're
I
you're I've known you're an Abdul Carter guy. You've been on this train.
I thought you were going. I know you were a Cam Ward guy too, so I thought you were going to go quarterback first.
I don't mind Cam Ward, but I guess with the quarterback value in the draft is always so tough to nail, especially when it's you don't have these bona fide guys. Like I remember 2, 3 years ago now when it was like that Kenny Pickett, Malik
Hmm.
Willis class where it was just like where are these guys gonna go? And it ended up only being one quarterback. I think this group is a better than that group for sure.
Yeah.
But I think just Abdul Carter is I think he's an athletic talent that is I think you have to take at one to me in this class. Uh, he can put his hand in the dirt. I think he can. I think he can move in space more than people think. But uh, he's obviously a great pass rusher. He can bend and flatten at the top of his rush. Uh, Great moves. I mean, to me, it's the only knock is the injury, which is a bit of a concern. But I mean, he has a bunch of accolades, and he seems to be like a number one overall worthy pick.
And they just released Harold Landry today. So there's now an
True.
obvious glaring need at the edge spot because you only have Jeffrey Simmons rushing the passer right now. So you definitely a need too that fills.
He's
So
the best player in the class, right?
Yeah.
So best player going one. I don't think you'll have any hate from Titans fans. I think if they did get Abdul Carter, they'd be completely fine with it and maybe get a quarterback in second round, third round, like a whatever Riley Leonard, Quinn Ewers, that type of guy.
or just not get a quarterback at all. I mean, or and
And Will
just
Levis
wait.
Yeah,
They
that
back.
have to
too.
take
They
one.
got Mayo, man. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
tank commander himself. Um, all right. Well, any other big thoughts on Abdul Carter? I kind of did that quickly, but I think his what he brings has been brought up to a lot of people. We know he's an athletic monster. Wasn't much more to report on at the combine because of the injury. So I think we're just stuck in a stalemate right now. Hey.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to number two then, where maybe it's if Abdul Carter does go one, I think it could get really interesting with what Cleveland does here at two, and that's going to be Nick Rocket pick number two. So, Mr. Frias, where are you going?
Not gonna lie, like I said, I was expecting you to take Ward, so I was gonna take Abdul Carter here, but I'm gonna go Travis Hunter. Um,
Mm,
he's the most dynamic player in this draft, in my opinion, right? He is the 1A, 1B with him and Carter. Cleveland's in like they're just in a weird spot. I think they got to blow up the team. Obviously, Miles Garrett looks like he's on the way out. Denzel Ward says that if Garrett's gone, he might have to rethink his thing. If I'm the Browns, I'm trading every aging piece I have on that team, whether it's Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, Garrett, Ward, Njoku, blow up the team. Travis Hunter at least gives you versatility at the wide receiver, which they don't really have besides Judy. And then if they do trade Denzel Ward, Travis Hunter can easily go in at cornerback and replace him, and they can still have that, you know, strong foundation at cornerbacks with Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson. So you have three solid guys if you decide to deploy Hunter at cornerback, and if you decide to deploy him at wide receiver, good 1-2 with Judy. And hey, if he can do both, it's a win-win. I don't think he can. I like him more on the offensive side, but we'll see. He's the best cornerback and he's the best wide receiver in this class, in my opinion. So Cleveland has some, I guess diversity with him on how they choose to deploy him.
Yeah, I think when you look at these teams at the top, they're the teams that are willing to play him on both sides because they need him on both sides. They have the holes everywhere. So like if you're Cleveland, you wouldn't mind having a new cornerback and a new receiver with one player. So I think they'll try it out and we'll see how long it lasts. But I agree. I think he's the best corner and the best receiver in this class. And I think he's arguably the best player in this class. I probably would still lean Carter as well. But yeah, it's a pretty easy pick there.
I think the rumor is, or at least Todd McShay in a recent podcast saying that Cam Ward is probably the most likely pick at two. So it would be interesting to see what Cleveland does. I personally would lean more Travis Hunter than Cam Ward as well. But any other thoughts, Frosty? I know you have some thoughts on Travis Hunter.
I'm not as high on Travis. I don't think he's the best corner or the best receiver in this class. The versatility, like it makes him probably, like you said, the most dynamic prospect in this class. And there's not a bad spot to pick him, especially if you're one of the crappy teams at the bottom of the league that need him everywhere on the field. I don't think he'll be able to play both sides, but I'd want to see what Cleveland does.
Yeah, I can see like I can to me for me personally, I can see an argument for him not being the best corner in the class. Even though I think he's better corner than receiver, I just think this corner class is better. I just this receiver, the crop of receivers isn't that good to me, so I can't justify having any of them over Travis Hunter.
I will say too, I didn't hear about the Cam Ward thing. I heard that the Browns really like Shador Sanders actually. So I was contemplating between Hunter and Sanders at two, which sounds insane. Sanders being the first quarterback off the board, but from what I've seen and what I've read is they like Shador, and I think he's the quarterback one for them. So
It's such
interesting.
non-sports. Like it's such back and forth between these two quarterbacks. But to me, after the combine, Shador had some rough interviews apparently. I think that's tanking a bit of his draft stock. We'll see if that's just like speculation. But to me, I feel like at this point it's a clear one in Cam Ward. But I don't know if that's however team's looking at it right now.
Yeah, I think again, going back to that podcast with Todd McShay, he was saying the same thing about I think the interview part got blown up a bit too much than what it truly was. But I mean, Deion Sanders has been saying from the start that they're gonna try to get Travis and Shador where they want. So if that's in Cleveland,
It's not in
it's a
Cleveland.
It's not in Cleveland. I'll promise you that.
Hell no.
um, uh, to me it wouldn't seem like Cleveland or Tennessee. But we'll go from there. But
Yeah.
all right, Abdul Carter one, Travis Hunter two, no quarterbacks off the board. Logan Glover, you're up at three with the New York Giants on the board, and they have their pick of the quarterbacks. I think if you're the Giants, I think you'd be happy with the way things have shaken out.
Yeah, makes my decision pretty easy here if I'm the Giants. I mean, you need a quarterback desperately. If you're choosing between Shador and one of the other Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, I personally might lean the other way, but with both quarterbacks there, there's a glaring need. There's not enough another talented enough player in this class to not just go quarterback. And I think Cam Ward's a tier above Shedeur Sanders personally. So I'm going Cam Ward. I think he's the clear-cut one at this point. Interviewed well at the combine. He's got more upside, a lower floor than Shedeur Sanders, but at more athletically gifted, can stretch the field much better. And I think he's just a more comfortable quarterback that I trust more. I just don't trust Shador to be able to take his game to the next level and be the level of quarterback you need to win a Super Bowl. You can't. We see it all the time. The game managers can only do so much, and I think that's sort of what Shador Sanders is. He's accurate and he can hit the intermediate routes really well, but when you need to make a play, it doesn't always work out for him. I think Cam Ward can make those plays and has that high upside to be a top tier quarterback if he hits his potential.
Yeah, I think that's really the difference between Ward and Shedeur is I think Ward's ceiling is
Hmm.
quite a bit higher than Shedeur's is.
Would it be fair to say that? Would it be fair to compare Ward to like Anthony Richardson, or would you say Ward is more developed out of college? Because I feel like AR was the same thing, high ceiling, but man, that floor's low. And we've seen so far early on, he hasn't looked good. He's playing more to the floor than the ceiling.
I'd say Cam Ward's floor is significantly higher because he's
Yeah.
much more polished and like he's an older prospect. Anthony Richardson was like 21 and had played like four college games. Like Cam Ward has been through the college football ringer. Like this guy's been through it. He's an experienced quarterback, so his floor is much higher to me than Anthony Richardson because he's not as much of a pure athletically gifted guy. He's got the intangibles you look for, the pocket presence, the being able to read a defense well that A-Rich sort of has still lacks. So I feel like he's not as reliant on his athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, yeah, I think Ward has a solid floor. I don't even think he has that high of a ceiling. I think he's more of a floor guy to me than a ceiling. I don't know how much more untapped skills you can get with Ward. I think you know what he's gonna. I think he does what Sanders does, just at a higher level.
Yeah.
At pretty much everything. So, that's where I'm at with this quarterback class, and I don't think any of them can really be. I don't know if any of these guys have top 10 in the league potential. Especially maybe before last year's class, you could say it because the quarterbacks were looking a bit like the quarterback play was down in the NFL, and then these five rookies came in, and then who knows what JJ McCarthy's going to do. Uh, but it's now all of a sudden there's like I don't know, there's a good like 15 solid quarterbacks now. So I don't know what level Kim Ward gets to. I think I would bet on him to have the best chance to get to a higher level than Sanders. I mean, personally, I like Jackson Dart over Shadur Sanders. We'll see if maybe I could get Dart sneaking into the first round here. But uh, any other thoughts on Cam Ward? Good to move on. All right. Well, Frosty, your pick, fourth overall, New England Patriots. Travis Hunter off the board. I
That's
know
kind
that's
of
been a
need help
favorite. Yeah.
everywhere on offense right now, except quarterback. Um, I think that their priority should be protecting Drake May. So there's been a lot of discourse about Will Campbell. I still think he's the best lineman or offensive lineman in this class. I'm taking Will Campbell at 4.
Okay. Okay. Explain it. Give us your
And
reasoning.
the good thing with him is if you want to try him at tackle, you try him at tackle. They need help at tackle and guard. So if the short arms are a problem for you, you don't think he can play tackle, you slide him in, you need help at both positions anyways.
Yeah, it's sort of like
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, like with the Browns. Like you can use him in both spots. One of them will click and he'll be fine. He's super talented. And I think it
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he seems like a for sure thing. Like Will Campbell seems like he's going to be good on the offensive line. It's just will it be at tackle or will it be at guard? I
Mhm.
think he's the safest offensive tackle, offensive lineman in general to take in this class. So I'm with you. I'm a big Will Campbell guy. T-Rex arms don't scare me.
There has
Yeah,
been
he's a
a lot
really
of
good. Go
there's a
ahead.
lot of Membu hype too. Like after the combine, people are talking Membu at 4, and I don't think I'm quite there on Membu yet.
I think his stock definitely rose, but
Yeah,
not to 4.
I don't think I'm at 4 with him yet.
Yeah, it's so tough because Will Campbell tested out really well. Under a 5 second 40, 32-inch vertical jump, a 9.5 broad jump. And it's just when he gets his hands on you, you're getting moved. He's one of the best run blockers, probably the best run blocker in the draft. It's just he struggles when he can't get his hands on you to start, and that's what happens because all the good technique and all the power that he has goes out the window when he's not making first contact. So I guess we'll see what happens. I would give him the shot. I've loved Will Campbell since last year when he was protecting for Jaden Daniels. Could argue he would have been the best offensive lineman last year. So uh, Will Campbell, 4 to the New England Patriots. I think I'm back up, hey?
Yep.
Yep.
Uh, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Lots of needs. They've been clearing house, hey? Who did they all
They
release?
released everybody.
Literally
Everyone.
everyone.
And
Duvernay, Ingram, uh, who was it that missed
Traded
the
Kirk
corner?
away.
Ronald Darby's
Robertson
gone.
Harris? Or is that Seattle? There was a lot
I
of
think that's Seattle.
everyone was released off the Titans or off the Jags.
Yeah. So now they have like some of the most I believe cap space in the league now. They're like up. I think I saw they went from like 27th to uh like top 8 or something like that. So lots going on. Liam Cohen, Duval getting it done. But 5, man, I don't know. I think in this scenario, um I'm struggling with Travis Hunter off the board. I mean, I guess you're assuming Abdul Carter's going to be off the board as well.
Mhm.
I'm probably going to go Mason Graham here. Uh, Seems like a safe prospect to me. I mean, he's just turn on the tape and he's just wrecking consistently all over the place. Uh, Been again another one of those guys been talking about for a couple years now. I think he was getting knocked a little bit because he was playing alongside Kenneth Grant and that he wasn't the only one causing havoc and had to worry about him. But I didn't buy into all that. I think he's really good. His motor is crazy. He moves well. Uh, he has just so much power. He punches well. And then again, that lateral quickness to even like he can go through, he can go around you. So Mason Graham, pair him alongside Walker. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. You got some building blocks there along the defensive line and down there in Jacksonville.
Don't forget Josh Hines Allen too. Like that D line gets scary if you add Mason Graham.
Josh, yep, Josh Hines Allen as well.
I will
I will
say
say,
with the release of Ingram, this could be a little far-fetched. Do they take Warren at 5? I'm just saying with Ingram gone, I could totally see Jacksonville like, okay, let's get Tila another weapon. We have Brian Thomas Jr. Let's get him. Let's get Warren in here. Um, I don't know what they're doing with ETN and Bigsby. That's a weird situation. You got to figure that out. But I think Mason Graham will be the pick. I think it is the right pick. But Warren at 5 is a little interesting to me, just with
I
the Evan
thought about
Ingram
it.
release.
I didn't want to
Yeah.
get too
Okay.
spicy, so I don't want to get too spicy, but it could have for fun. But
I would say that like if they're a pick down, like if Mason Graham's not there, Warren becomes a whole lot more obvious because Mason Graham is like it's a pretty clear tier. Like Carter and Hunter, and then Graham and Campbell are both really good too. After that, it takes a drop off, so you might as well just take Warren, who would might be BPA at that point.
yeah, all right. Big old pick 6 to Nick, the Las Vegas Raiders. Hey, there's lots of buzz of a certain quarterback that you were thinking of maybe taking that too. So is that where you're going to go here at 6?
That's exactly where I'm going. I mean, I was debating between obviously Shador Sanders and Ashton Genty, but I'm gonna take Shador here. The running back class is very deep. I think LA will get or Las Vegas will get a running back in the second round, but Shador Sanders just I feel like he screams LA or LA Las Vegas. Just the way that Dion's been talking. I want my son in the right location in the right place, and I could just see Shador with the chains on, going to Vegas, seeing him in like, I don't know, like a gambling thing, whatever, like the casino. I don't know. I see Shador in the black and gray. I see it. I don't think it's the right pick. I don't like Shador Sanders as a prospect. I think his ceiling at most is Tua, and I don't think you want that at the sixth overall pick, even though Tua went what, top 5, or was Tua 6 as well?
I think Tua was 5.
Tua was 5, which looking back though, Tua was a much more
He was a
um
much better
hyped
prospect.
up prospect. Yeah, right. But that's where I'm going. I think Shador is the pick here at 6 with Vegas. And we'll see. They need quarterback. They need running back. Like I said, I think they'll get running back in the second round, but they'll address quarterback right now.
It's,
Yeah, I
no,
go ahead, Glover.
I'm thinking about my pick here at 7. I'm
Oh, okay, okay.
crazy.
Yeah, maybe we'll get into the running back conversation a little bit once maybe Genty goes off the board because I did want to talk about Genty is so good, but the class is so deep it almost hurts him to where like teams are like at least towards the top are like, well, we can go address a bigger need or another need somewhere else because the value of that player at that position, if he's good, like like the receivers for example, like once you get past the 3 or 4, like I'm not loving it. Same thing with like the 2 tight ends or the couple of corners, whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. But Glover, have I stalled enough for you to think of your pick? Number 7, the New York Jets, baby. Where you going?
There's a lot of holes here, man. There's a lot of things to fix, and there's a couple guys crossing my mind. You can look like Tyler Warren is on the mind there. And so are both safeties, Malachi Starks and Nicky Minwari, because they need help in the DB room. And then that's probably where I'm leaning. Like you can look at one of the corners too, but I think I'd lean it for the safeties over those corners. It's more a matter of what do you want? Do you want the offensive threat in Tyler Warren, or do you want to shore up the back end there with one of these safeties? And I really like it's such a tough spot to be in. I think it's a good issue to have when there's this much talent. I think though I'm going to lean Aaron Glenn's there, defensive head coach. I'm gonna go with the safety. I'm gonna grab Eamon Worry over Starks. I think the combine hype is going to get there, and I think it's going to get him possibly taken higher just because the athletic freak he is. And I think he's a guy that an Aaron Glenn would like. I think he could fit well in that defense. I think he can play a sort of that Brian Branch role. He can play sort of everywhere on the field you want him to play. He's got range. He's the best way to look at him is like a light Kyle Hamilton. He's rangy, he's big, he's athletic. He can drop back deep into coverage and make plays on the ball, but he can also play the nickel. He can play in the slot. He can do anything you really want him to do. And I think a guy like Aaron Glenn would very much value having that flexibility at the safety position.
Yeah, there's literally no one with his measurables at like what 6'3",
Yeah.
and his weight has ran and done what he's done. A 7 is pretty aggressive, I will
It
say,
is
but
high,
Yeah.
but I think it's just the
uh,
need. I think the Jets need it.
but yeah, at 6'3", 220, with 33-inch arms, running a 4.38, a 43-inch vertical, 11.6 broad jump. I mean, you can talk yourself into it, that's for sure. So yeah, Eben Wari 7. Any other thoughts, Nick Frosty?
I mean, it's aggressive. I'll say I don't
Yeah.
remember the last time a safety's gone top 10, but
Derwin James
uh,
probably.
yeah. So that's what 2016. So it's been what close to I guess what would be 9 years. So I think it's high. I don't know if I have New York taking them that or taking Iwanori that high. I can see him going offensive line. I know it sounds a little
Yeah.
crazy, but I can see Membu going off here. I know they have Tyron Smith, but they drafted was it Fashanu last year?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was sort of my thought on O-line. I think the O-line could go, but like Membu's the best one available. He's an interior guy. They just signed John Simpson. They got Elijah Vera Tucker. They drafted Olu Fashanu. They still have Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses there. I just don't see them using back-to-back top 10 picks on a O-lineman for 2 years down the line when they already have guys in the building.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
maybe even a Jackson Dart they could have
Jets are in
went.
a weird position.
Oh God.
At 7, oh
If
Lord.
even Warriors a stretch at
Oh,
7, Jackson Dart's a stretch at 7.
yeah.
I could see them taking a quarterback there though.
If
If
Shador
Shador
was there,
falls,
I
yeah.
probably would have gone that way.
I mean, I have Dart above Shadur. So
I do
the way
too.
you the way you think about Shadur is like I've seen mocks with Dart third.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
I,
Well, who
I,
knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? he spun it at the combine, man, and he had a good year. It's not like he just spun it at the combine. He had a really good year.
I was on the Dart train at the start of the season, and you guys have overtaken me on Dart hype. I'm no longer as high on him as you guys are.
Yeah, I don't know what
Uh,
happened.
but I don't see a lot in this quarterback class, and I think honestly part of it with Shadur is the name. You're bringing money in for the owner, you're bringing media in, like people are gonna want it. It's the Jets, you know. It's New York. They want to see Shadur Sanders there. They're going to get a billion primetime games like last year. We're going to have to suffer through the Jets playing on primetime and they're getting just blown out. Like, but that's the way it is.
Tyrod
All right,
Taylor could be
Frosty,
the
you're
Jets starter. Just get ready for it. Primetime Tyrod,
well,
baby.
yeah, I guess we'll see. All right, Frosty, Panthers 8. Where you going?
So they're kind of the opposite of New England. New England needed help everywhere on offense. Panthers need help everywhere on defense. Um, I'm gonna take the guy that I think has the highest ceiling on the defensive side of the ball, and that's Jalen Walker.
Right?
I think he can. They couldn't really do much of anything on defense last year. Whether you think he's going to be an off-ball linebacker, you think he's going to be a pass rusher, whatever it is, he's versatile and he's going to help them wherever they end up putting him on that defense.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Jalen Walker's a stud. Like this guy's like you say versatile, and when you need everything, this guy can do almost everything.
I
Yeah,
definitely think they go defense.
oh my God, they have to,
Yeah,
especially
Yeah,
where they're picking. Like,
Yeah.
it's the perfect place to want to draft a defender. Um, and he's really good, man. Like, I mean, I think you could think some Nolan Smith with him, for sure. Uh, it's interesting. Some people will view him as a tweener, some will view him as a hybrid. But yeah, he can do a lot. But I wonder how much he's actually going to draw back, and how much he's just going to be like a pure like edge guy.
as a Cowboys fan, I see a lot of Micah Parsons in him, so I
Mhm.
really really like him as a prospect because I think he can be dominant everywhere on the field.
Yep.
It's just, yeah.
Looking at his
At
alignment,
6'1", 245,
it's
how
perfect.
much can you actually play with your hand in your dirt though? Like,
Yeah,
I think you could get pushed around at that weight and size.
But then you drop him back into the box. He plays as an off-ball linebacker, and you got yourself a great off-ball linebacker. Like I think it's a pretty perfect situation. Like this year at his alignments, he played 311 snaps in the box, played 249 on the D line, and played 61 in the slot. Like
Yeah.
I, I'm really shocked that him and Michael Williams didn't run at the combine because I think they had a lot to gain from just pure athletic traits, which is what these guys excel at. So I was really surprised on that front because I think he's an athletic freak. And it's weird that he didn't decide to showcase that.
yeah.
I mean, but yeah,
It's kind of
if you're the Panthers, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's kind of the same thing. Like Jalen Milrow didn't run.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the guys that it was like the majority of your draft stock is built off your athleticism. You didn't showcase your athleticism.
Yeah.
or
It's
Steve.
just we're seeing the trend now. Like nobody, like a lot of players didn't run. Like everybody we've even picked in the top 8 here. Like even Warren did his stuff, and that's why he's here. But like nobody else. Campbell
Will
did a couple
Campbell,
things, but
he
yeah,
ran.
he did a couple things. But Campbell also didn't fully do everything. So that's just the way things are now. But it's we'll see pro days, right? Pro days. We'll have to. Oh, and oh no, we have to do another mock after pro days and stuff. Ah, jeez. All right. Number 9, New Orleans Saints. This is a match. Can anybody guess who I'm going? This is a match made in heaven to me.
I can't guess
Somebody
who.
guess. I want somebody to guess. I want
Like
Tyrone
somebody to guess.
literally.
Tyrone McMillan.
See, I would say that, but I know you're not a Ted guy. I know you're not on Ted, so I don't know where you're going. Like,
Frosty, give me something.
I think you take
Do
Will
it.
Johnson there.
You guys are all wrong. Taysom Hill's getting old. We need somebody to
It's
fill that
going. It's
role.
going Warren.
Tyler Warren. Give me Tyler Warren.
I don't know if
This
this
I
is
is
don't
what
a
I
hate
would
that.
Taysom
say.
Hill, but I get the fit.
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
just
that.
joking about the Taysom Hill thing, but they need offense, man. Like they need some more to go along. And like you mentioned, Glover, I don't like Ted here. I don't like any of the receivers in the top 10. So why not get the best overall pass catching weapon? And Tyler Warren, big, athletic, tough, competitive. We'll do whatever you need to win. You want him to be in the Wildcat? Sure, he can do that. You want him to block as a tight end? Sure. You want him to run some routes and catch? Sure, he can do that. You want him to play running back? Sure. And the Saints have lots of experience doing that with Taysom Hill. So I think if Warren's going to go anybody and be used to his full potential, I think New Orleans could actually like make him Taysom Hill juiced up. I don't know if Tyler Warren can play quarterback. I don't know. He can do everything else. But what do we think? Warren to heading down to New Orleans.
I think it
I
makes
think that's
sense.
solid.
Yeah.
They gotta need its
Um,
BPA, I would say. Like unless you're talking Genty, I would say Genty's better as an overall player, but the Saints are taking a running back, so yeah.
I love it.
I felt
I think it's great.
I felt pretty proud coming up with that one. All right. Uh Nicholas, number 10. That's you, Chicago. Where are you going?
I'm doing it. Ben Johnson clearly hates DeAndre Swift because he's replacing him once again. Ashton Genty is a Chicago Bear. Best player available. You can argue top three player in the class. Obviously, they just brought over Ben Johnson. They just traded for Joe Thuney. So I think Genty's in play. Ben Johnson's gonna try and recreate the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery thing with him and Swift. Personally, I think Genty and Roshan Johnson would be a lot better for that or for the Swift Gibbs Monty Gibbs thing that they're gonna try and do. But Genty's here adds another weapon to that crazy I guess potential they have in Chicago with Caleb, Rome, DJ Moore, and then you add Genty. I mean, Cole Kmet's not bad either, but Genty doesn't slip any further. The Bears take him, and we'll see if he lives up to the hype.
I think this is a good spot for him. I think like since they made the additions through trade on the O line, that makes it a lot easier. But like if they hadn't done that, I would have looked like Membu. I think they could still look like tackle maybe to get someone across from Darnell Wright, and they could look for an edge rusher. But Genty is the best player on the board, so it makes sense to take him here.
I kind of like
All
their
right, now that the
tackles. So I was going to say they have
all right,
Tevin. I think it's what Tevin Jenkins. I think they drafted not too long ago. He's not bad on opposite side
Yeah,
of
but
the
I think
foot. I
they
don't know.
push him in a guard, and I don't think he's gonna be playing because they got Jonah Jackson and Joe Tooney now.
Fair, fair, fair.
well, now that the Genty positive goers are gone, it's for the more negative. Not that we're down. We've had this
Oh.
conversation off air, so that's why I say
Yeah.
this. But uh, it's interesting. So in this mock, he ends up going top 10. Inherently, I don't agree with that. But if he wants to go in the top 10, I like it to be Chicago. So I think Ben Johnson would help that. I think they're starting to get the pieces in place for where he could succeed. So I don't mind it. I just personally think he's more mid to late first, but I mean at 10, it's in a good fit. I think it's fine.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's as much that you and I are lower on Genty. I think we're higher on the rest of the class. I think we just think there's
Yes.
less of a gap between the two of them. I wouldn't hate to see the Bears go tackle there, but you really can't go wrong with Genty in that spot with when they're making additions on the O line already through trades, and I would assume through free agency.
Yeah, and then that's the other thing, right? Like we were talking about, like it pushes the rest of that class down, and with, but I mean at the same time, like I guess one of the other biggest needs would be like an edge, and it's a really good edge class as well, and there's still a bunch of edges available. But I mean, I don't know, you could go like a Shamar Stewart here, a Michael Williams here, who I personally love both of them. So um, that's gonna be one of the biggest. It's gonna be where the quarterback's going and then where's Genty going. I think are the biggest questions heading into this draft. But any other thoughts on Genty? All right. Pick 11. Who's up? That's going to be Glover.
Yeah,
49ers.
I think there's two routes the Niners can go. I think they can go O line or they can go edge. I think there's a world they'd sign Joey Bosa and it becomes really easy, but at this point in time, they haven't done that, and I don't know if they will. Who knows? So I'm going edge. I'm gonna take Shamar Stewart. I think like what literally one of, if not the greatest combine performances of all time. Put up ridiculous numbers in all sorts of events. Didn't have production in college. That's the biggest knock on him. He only had 4.5 sacks. But to me, that's a big whoop. He had a lot of pressures. He was one of the top pressure getters in the league and or in NCAA, and that was more his role. He was used as a run stuffer. He was used to stuff gaps. He wasn't used as a primary pass rusher as often as you'd expect for a guy of his talent. I think there's almost no better spot to develop an edge rusher than San Fran. They could take this athletic freak and turn him into an elite edge rusher in the league. And pairing him with Nick Bosa is really just like a scary sight for any NFC team looking to go up against the Niners.
Yeah, 6'5", 270, a 4.5, 940, 40-inch vertical jump, almost an 11-foot broad jump. I mean, it'd be scary to see this guy come to the NFC, eh, Frosty?
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the thought of that at all. He like I said before, I think Jalen Walker has the highest ceiling. If we talk absolute ceiling, Shamar Stewart probably does.
Mhm.
But it's going to be absurdly hard for him to reach that. I think the Niners are a team that could help him drastically reach that, though.
All right. And we'll stick right with you, Frosty. Pick 12. Your Dallas Cowboys are up. Genty off the board, even though I know you said you wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
All the receivers outside, whatever you consider Travis Hunter, I don't know he's not a receiver. He's a what athlete?
unicorn.
Receivers are on the board. What are you doing? Floor's yours.
I I like Luther Burden a lot. I think Luther Burden's my wide receiver one in this class. I think there's too many players that I have above him on my board right now to be able to justify taking him here. I think Cowboys are releasing Trayvon Diggs this offseason. That's been talked about a lot. I'm going to take Will Johnson. They're going to need corner help. Deron Bland took a step back last year. Trayvon Diggs took about 8 steps back last year. So they're going to need corner help. I think it was between, for me personally, it was corner and safety. I was going back and forth between Will Johnson and Malachi Starks. I just personally like Will Johnson more. I know he had a down year this year. He was playing hurt all year. Michigan turned the ball over like 8 times a game. Their defense was on the field the whole time. I think Will Johnson has a really high floor, and I think he can be a number one corner. And he's more of the lockdown guy that you want opposite a ball hawk like Deron Bland.
It's it's really tough. I do still believe in Will Johnson, but I think he's gonna slip on the draft day. Like I just think he's gonna slip because he was injured for the combine. He's not gonna be able to play on his to his pro day. It came out today. He's got that hamstring injury, so he won't be able to participate in his pro day. So not gonna be able to do any of the testing that teams want to see after a down year. The 2023 tape is elite, but like, what are you getting out of him? What kind of question marks? It does remind me similarly to when we saw Derek Stingley come out, where injuries, played on a worse team, wasn't quite as he wasn't quite as into it really. His draft year, and when he was looked on up as like an elite shutdown corner, and he's turned out well in the NFL. So it's kind of that similar risk with Will Johnson.
So I think it's fair to say that he's a man press guy and he has short arms. I know we brought up the arms before, but that could also raise a problem I've heard with Will Johnson is just because of the scheme he does play. He's not the fastest guy in the world either. So the arms, Matt, with the I guess more agility over speed in a man press scheme could be a little alarming. So I don't
I
know.
think that's what teams
I
want
agree. I
want
think
to afford him.
Johnson. Yeah, I think him. He's a big. I think he'll be a big faller because of the ability or the inability to see his athletic traits shown at the combine. So I'm with you, Logan. I think he falls a little further, but it makes sense if Diggs is released.
Yeah, I mean Johnson was a top 5 guy coming into the year.
Yeah.
We'll see where he ends up falling down. All right, I'm up at 13 with the Miami Dolphins. I would be sprinting to the podium for Armand Membu. Bring him down to Miami. Again, I mean, there's talk about him going like top 5. So I think him falling down to 13 here would be great. Had a great combine. I don't know how somebody at 6'4", 332 can run under a 5 second 40-yard dash and almost be in the 4.8s. He had a 4.91, and then jump 34 inches, and then have a broad jump of 9.7, and then put up 31 reps on the bench press. Just it keeps going. Again, one of the a really good combine. He's agile, he has twitchy hands. He's really good at body control. I will say, like, he's plays within himself, plays within his frame, which I think is really important for these bigger weight guys. Because if you get off balance as a somebody who's super large, you're going to get moved around. So, Membu to the Dolphins, sprint in there. They need to keep adding to that O line. Like, they've been trying to fix that for years now, and they just can't seem to quite hit on their O line guys. So, Membu, Miami.
Yeah,
That's a nice ring to it. All
I think
right,
it's perfect
Gotta
pick.
14.
protect,
All
gotta
right.
protect too,
Yeah,
right? So
it's an O line pick. Not much you can comment on, right? I laid it out. So, all right, 14. Nick, Indianapolis Colts.
a couple different ways to go here, but I'm actually gonna go with Colson Loveland. Uh, if
Mm,
Warren was here, I think Warren definitely be the pick. But since he's not, I think the Colts get AR another weapon. They try and get someone that can work underneath, a guy that can just be easy completions for Anthony Richardson. I think that's still their goal there. They need to get AR going. You spend a top five pick on him. I think Loveland is another weapon to a already deep class at wide receiver. They already have Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you're giving AR everything possible to succeed here. So I think you add Loveland, and it's a huge upgrade over what Mo Alley Cox. I don't mind Mo Alley Cox, but
Eh,
Colson Loveland, Mo Alley Cox. There's a big difference here. So
I
take
like
Loveland at
Jelani
14.
Woods. I like Jelani
Jelani,
Woods.
oh,
Uh,
he's
but
like what
yeah,
6'7"?
hey, and Loveland, 6'6", 250 is what I've come more around on him. 6'6", 250 is, I didn't think he'd measure in that big.
Same, same. I
All
kind
right.
of caught me off guard.
All right. 15, Logan. We'll start to speed up here a little bit as we
Yeah,
get moving through here. So maybe we can just each like give our thoughts, and if anybody needs to jump in on somebody else, they can. But 15, Atlanta Falcons. For the love of everything, please go defense.
yeah. This is
Please.
with the way the board has fallen. I'm taking Michael Williams. I'm not looking back. I think Michael Williams is a top 10 player in the class. Another athletic freak coming out of Georgia, and the Falcons. They have to go defense. You can go other places on the defensive side. You can take Jahdae Barron. I like him a lot. Malachi Stark's there. You can go. I wouldn't go the other edge rushers. Like I don't think Mike Green or James Pierce are the same kind of traits that you look for that Micah Williams has. So a lot of stuff on the board here, but I think Micah Williams is the easy pick for the Falcons.
All right. 16, Frosty, Arizona.
So I don't know if this is gonna be a popular pick. Um, I'm gonna take Josh Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State. Uh, the Cardinals have kind of an underrated tackle duo, I think. Paris Johnson's there. Jonah Williams only played 6 games, but they have the old Ohio State offensive line coach as their offensive line coach in Justin Fry. They're just going to try and I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to build that Buckeye O line again. Simmons or oh my God, Simmons or Williams could move to guard if they need to, I think. I think Simmons shores up that O line and he's his coach's guy.
Yeah, I like that fit a lot. Pairing with his old running mate and Paris Johnson Jr. too. Like that's just a really good fit, and they need some help in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
All right. That means I'm up at 17 with the Cincinnati Bengals. What has transpired in this mock is these receivers are falling and
Slipping.
falling fast. So just to get some of them off the board, I'm gonna take your receiver here because it's just because T. Higgins is franchise tag. That doesn't mean that like he's gonna be back. I think that just means that maybe they get a contract with him, maybe he gets traded. Uh, just because if Michael Williams was here, I probably would take Michael Williams. Um, they could look at a D tackle, maybe a Walter Nolan here as well. Could go O line, even though they've made some dress. Like Kelvin Banks is still available, but I mean, I think somebody like a Luther Burden beside a Jamar Chase long term if T. Higgins is going to go, or if T. Higgins stays and you have Luther Burden. I think he fits perfectly alongside either one of them or both of them. So I'm going to go Luther Burden. Just keep loading up on that offense because the
Jeez.
defense is way too far gone to me, anyways. And this is more of a pick if T. Higgins leaves and they get to a replacement. I think if they're confident T. Higgins is going to stay, I think then they would probably go like a Walter Nolan or one of the corners like a Jahdae Barron or a Maxwell Harrison. But just to spice things up because the receivers are falling, Luther Burden, Cincinnati Bengals, bang.
So you're basically saying they should just give up on the defense and try to win every game like 75-65, right? Like that's the position they're in right now.
I mean, hey, I'm just and maybe you trade T. Higgins for a defender or a pick that you can use on defense, but I'm just going Luther because I can't see these wide receivers falling anymore. This is ridiculous. I don't even think this would happen, but
Yeah, this is
here we
crazy.
are.
Ted might slip out of the top
I don't
20.
know. I don't think it's that crazy. I think they're
Yeah.
talented, but
Maybe not. I don't think it's yeah, fair enough.
I think with the teams that are taking the strength of this class of the trenches and the teams picking above need trenches, I don't see the receivers having spots.
All right. Well, I did what I did. I made the decision I made. Nick, you're up at 18 now with the Seattle Seahawks.
I mean, we're gonna continue the wide receiver slippage stoppage is what I'll call it. I'm taking Ted McMillan here. They got rid of Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf has requested a trade, so you replace one big wide receiver in DK Metcalf with another big fella in Ted McMillan. You have Ted and then JSN as your two guys at wide receiver. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go. You can definitely address the offensive line here, but I'll go Ted. I think it's the fun pick. I think it's a very probable pick if he gets down this far. And yeah, JSN and Ted gonna run it in Seattle.
Oh, the Seahawks will be loving this receiver falling. Hey,
Yeah.
they
If they could get off that
all
DK contract and then replace him with Ted, that's a pretty good off season.
right. Governor 19, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, desperate need a defense. I'm going to stop the Jedi Barron slide. I think he is much more talented than the 19th overall pick, and I think the Bucks have a serious need on the defensive side of the ball, whether it's edge, whether it's linebacker, whether it's secondary. And I think Jedi Barron's top 15 kind of player in this class. I think at this point could be cornerback one. I think that's a discussion that's had, but he's definitely in close contention with Will Johnson. I think he's a stud, and I think this is just a good fit, good need filler for the Bucks.
Really good combine for Barron.
Yeah,
Uh, 20, Denver Broncos. Who's that? Andrew.
So if if one of the tight ends is here, either Loveland or Tyler Warren, I think they take whichever one is there. Neither one of them are there. I'm going Matthew Golden at wide receiver. Give Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix some help up there. They don't really have a running back, but only one's off the board at 20, and I think you still get a really good one in the second round.
Sean Payton wants his
Hey, I'm
Joker.
up. I'm up at 21 with the Steelers. I'll finish this run of wide receivers and Emeka Egbuka. Um, I think honestly, this is where all the receiver needy
yeah.
teams are, and this is probably where you value most of these guys, for the most part. So I think this is the run starts. The Steelers realize they can get one of the top four there, and they land Egbuka at 21. I you know what he's going to be. So I think you still need that prototypical one guy in Pittsburgh, but Egbuka helps the cause.
Yeah. I think this is very similar to the 2022 draft where strength of the trenches, all the receiver needing teams were bunched together, and the receivers were kind of spread out in rankings, and they just all went four in a row. JSN, Zay, Johnston, and Addison. I think this is sort of what we're going to see this year. I think you hit the Bengals, and from the Bengals down to the Packers, you could argue every single one of these teams could use a quarterback or could use a receiver. Like the Bucks could use a receiver even because they might Mike Evans is getting older and Godwin might leave in free agency. So there's a ton of receiver needy teams in this 17 to 23 spots.
Hey, and even Nick up
Hey,
now at 22, the Chargers could use a receiver, but I think they're more likely to go trade for one like a DK Metcalf, I think is the big rumor. But Nick, what are you doing with LA?
I'm making it two running backs going off in the first round. I'm taking Omari and Hampton. Dobbins is a
Love
free
that.
agent. Dobbins is a free agent, and they love to run the ball there in LA. So I think Omar's been getting a lot of buzz since the combine. I've heard some people have him as the one over Genti, which I think speaks volume to how good Omar really is. So I think if he's there for LA, which I expect him to be, they pulled the trigger. And I mean, Omar first year, is it fair to say he breaks over 1,000 yards? I think so. I definitely think Omar can get over 1,000 yards in his first year if he ends up going to the Chargers.
in a Jim Harbaugh,
You're
Greg Roman offense, absolutely. If
Hey,
he's
you're
healthy, yeah.
speaking to the Omar Hampton fan club over here. If
Hey, buddy,
that's one of
I'm
my
with
favorite
you.
Yeah,
landing
you are.
spots. Hey, as we all have a dynasty fantasy league together, and I'm at the 102. So if Omar Hampton's at with the Chargers, I'm feeling very happy with what I'm picking.
I
So,
think that's a really good match. I think it sort of
Glover, you're telling me if say Genty lands somewhere where it's not the best, and then Omar's in LA, you're telling me you're not even considering switching
well,
it at the
realist
101.
the way I look at it realistically, what team that doesn't need a running back is going to take a running back as high as Genti's going to go? You know,
I don't
like
know. The Lions did it.
yeah, but okay, look how that worked out. I would love to have a Jameer Gibbs. Like I'm gonna like if he's in the Bears, it's not a perfect situation, but I'm probably taking
Jameer
him.
Gibbs is also better than Ashton Genty.
As a prospect, I don't think so.
Yeah.
As a prospect, I'm thinking Genty. I
Okay.
think Gibbs
Conversation for
hitting,
another day. Conversation for
yeah,
another day.
but
Yeah,
hitting
yeah.
that ceiling
Uh,
stuff with Hampton, I
we'll
think
save it.
with Hampton, it's a perfect running back. Is what Greg Roman used. Hampton's like Gus Edwards on crack. So like Jim Harbaugh runs run heavy, Greg Roman runs run heavy, power back. Like just put him between the tackles, let him rumble.
Yeah, we'll be bringing some fantasy mock drafts and fantasy content, dynasty stuff to the channel as well. Glover will stay right with you. 23, Green Bay.
Yeah, it's a good spot. I think they go cornerback here. I'm between two guys. I think they need a cornerback with Jair Alexander maybe on the way out. You would have liked the receiver, they're all gone. I think you're looking at Azariah Thomas or Maxwell Harrison at a really good combine. I think let's just go off where this is a post combine mock, off the post combine hype. I'll take Maxwell Hairston. He had a super good 40 time. He was already a solid day two pick. I think he really boosted his stock to be a potential day one guy. And I think this is a good fit. The Packers need some stability in that cornerback room with Jair Alexander. Even if they don't trade him, he's always hurt. So they need someone else to come and take off some of that load.
All right. I agree. I agree. Frosty, 24, Minnesota.
Minnesota's another one of the teams that I could see them taking Omar if he falls down to here. He's gone. I think they take D tackle. I think they take Kenneth Grant. I think they shore up their D line. Their defense is already elite. D tackle, if anything, is probably their need on defense. I think they just shore up what they need there.
love me some Kenneth Grant. Love me some Kenneth Grant.
We got a Kenneth Grant truther in the call. All right. I'm up at 25 with the Houston Texans. Other than the receivers being gone, I think they're sitting pretty here with the amount of O line and D line talent available. I could see them going Walter Nolan. I could even see them going Malachi Starks because they need another safety to pair alongside Kalen Bullock. I'm not going to go safety. I think they have bigger needs along the offensive line. I'm not going to go D tackle either, even though they need it. Uh, Between Tyler Booker and Kelvin Banks, it's a good problem to have. I'd probably go Kelvin Banks, um, just with the potential to play tackle. You can always kick him inside the guard. He's a UT guy. Texans always do their homework on the Longhorns. So Kelvin Banks, I've seen people lower on Kelvin Banks. I really like Kelvin Banks. I'm surprised he's here. I don't think he should make it here. I would take him over Josh Simmons, even though I do like Simmons as well. But Banks, 25, Houston. I don't mind it. 26, LA Rams. That's gonna be a Nick.
All right, here's the spicy pick. We have three quarterbacks in the first round. This is where Jackson Dart goes.
Oh,
Um, I Matthew Stafford, it's coming to an end. He's getting up there in age. LA needs to find their successor, and I think they find it in Jackson Dart. Stays behind Stafford for years, learns behind him, and then they throw him in the following year under Sean McVay. I really like Dart here, 26 to LA.
man.
Okay, okay.
I like that fit.
It's a solid fit, I think, and it makes sense. You get the 5th year option on him too, which is gonna be massive. You're gonna use him as a succession plan. So yeah, it works pretty well.
Yeah, he spun out at the combine, man. He really did. All right, 27, Baltimore Ravens, Glover. I've already moved Malachi Starks in.
This, well, don't put it in too quickly here. This is literally the dream board for Baltimore, I'd say. Like, if EDC could cook up a dream board, it's Malachi Starks, Jahad Campbell, James Pierce Jr., and Mike Green. I think honestly, realistically, if this is the four available at this spot, 100% no doubt Baltimore trades back. They always do it. I would put some serious money if this is the board they trade back. We're not doing any trades. I'm running up the Malachi Starks card. I do love Jahad Campbell, and I think he would be a perfect fit next to Roquan Smith to fill in that Patrick Queen role. Just running around, not having to do too much processing and just blitzing, playing fast, high pressure, just hitting everything that moves, basically football, and being that versatile piece. But with Malachi Starks, you get yourself one of the best players in like I think he's a top 10 player in this draft still, despite a weaker combine, you could say. I think that the tape speaks for itself. He's a absolute stud. This is Kyle Hamilton all over again, just at a different level. And it gives the Ravens that versatility they want to look for in that secondary, allows you to put Kyle Hamilton wherever you want and still have that coverage over the top that they couldn't get when they put him down low this year is they brought Kyle Hamilton down and all of a sudden they're getting burnt over the top. This way you can bring him down and Malachi Starks can be that blanket coverage guy on the top. It's a dream fit here. I would love this pick for Baltimore.
All right, Frost, Detroit Lions, 28.
I think this is a really good board for Detroit too.
Mhm.
I think either one of Jahad Campbell or James Pierce Jr. is reasonable. I think having a second edge rusher opposite Aiden Hutchins is going to help them a lot, but I'm going Jahad Campbell. I think linebacker is just a bigger need for them.
Yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. He's a good player, good player.
And he was recruited as an edge rusher, I believe, out of high school.
Yeah,
So worst
he's
comes to
another one of the
worst.
guys that can, if you need him to fill in at edge, he can
Yeah,
kind of line
exactly.
up anywhere.
Exactly.
Hey, well, the I'm up at 28 with the or 29 with the Washington Commanders. I'm happy you did not take James Pierce Jr. because I think they would love to take Pierce Jr. or just have the option of these edges between Mike Green, even a Nick Scorton or a Donovan. Donovan. I for the
Yeah.
love
As a
of me
Raku,
cannot.
you want to test that?
There you go. You could say it. I can't do it. I don't know what it is. I can't do it. Yeah, James Pierce Jr. at 29. Crazy fall off. Supposed to project the number one pick
Yeah.
coming in, and character concerns are apparently real. I mean, I know none of us have the sources on that, but it seems like the people who were in the know say it's true. So got to take their word for it. Rumor that he could fall out of the side of the top 64. I don't know about all that. I think a late first on him, especially for Washington, who needs the edge help, would do it. So that's where I'm at with JPJ. Nick, you're up at 30. Buffalo Bills. What are you doing?
You guys kind of sniped the two guys I wanted there with Campbell and Pierce, so we're gonna go to Siobhan Revel. Bills need a cornerback. They have Benford and Teron Johnson, but Rasul Douglas is free agent. He didn't look great towards the end of the year too, and we have Kyer Elam, so we don't have anybody besides Teron Johnson and Christian Benford. Get Siobhan Revel in here, get him at the cornerback two alongside, like I said, Benford and Johnson. And yeah, shores up a position the Bills really need. Cornerback. I like it. Happy with it. Day one starter.
I guess that means me. I'm back in the 31
I,
game.
if Siobhan Ravel didn't get hurt, I feel like he would be higher.
Yeah.
To me. So don't mind that. Don't mind that. All right, 31, Kansas City Chiefs. Glover.
Um, this is a tough spot. They're going O-line. Between Connerly and Jackson, I'm going to lean Connerly. I think Donovan Jackson would give you more versatility, which they could use after trading Joe Thuney. But I think Connerly is the overall better tackle, and I think they need help on the O line after that Super Bowl performance. So perfect fit there for their board.
All right. And Frosty, at least take Mr. Irrelevant, I guess, in this mock. He definitely probably won't be irrelevant in the league, but who are you going? Finish us off.
This is a very Eagles pick for them to lose Sweat this offseason and immediately get Mike Green with the last pick in the first round. I They just immediately replace him with probably a top 20 talent in the draft at the end of the first. I think they go Mike Green and are very happy with it.
The trenches really slipped in our mock here. Like Green, Harmon, Alexander, Nolan, Zabel, Donovan Jackson. These are some great pieces at the back end of the first year and the top of
Yeah,
the
I
second.
mean, apparently Booker is not even making it outside the top 15,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah,
falls
that's true, Booker.
out of that for us. Yeah, and then Nolan and Harmon, who have consistently been in the first round as well, are also out. Uh, hey, it was fun to do it. Our first one of the year, so lots could still change. This is obviously fresh off a post combine. Lots of rumors and stuff swirling, but once we get closer to the pro days, it will be more concrete. It all starts at the top though, right? We don't know even what's going to happen at one, which is fun and interesting because usually by this time we're like, okay, like Chicago's going to take Caleb Williams or the Panthers are going to take, at least you know they're going to take a quarterback, right? Yeah, so uh, that does it for us at the Backfield Buzz. Cody Wiles, Logan Glover, Nick Frias, Andrew Foster. Please like, comment, subscribe. There'll be more where this came from. We're gonna be going heavy on the draft stuff. Maybe we'll do a free agency thing. It's opening up in a couple days here. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll come back and react to some big deals if anything crazy big happens. Trades are also a possibility when free agency opens as well. So fantasy stuff will for sure be coming. I can guarantee that. We don't know when it's coming. We all of a sudden just took like 4 months off, but it will it will for sure be coming at one point or another. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep buzzing.